So now that we have our data imported into Metasploit, we can take a look at what Metasploit has actually stored for us, and we're going to use some database commands. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to look at all of the hosts that are in the database. If I type hosts, I get a list of the two hosts that I had actually done a scan on. Had I scanned an entire network using OpenVAS and then exported that, I would have gotten quite a bit more, and we'll certainly see more hosts as we do some additional scanning using Metasploit later on. One thing that I want to show you really quickly, because we haven't talked about it before, is I can do tab completion inside MSF console. So if I type HO tab, MSF console just completes it for me. Now, we don't have to be limited to just typing hosts. We could, for example, type hosts minus S Windows. And what I get then is just the Windows hosts. I could say hosts minus S Linux, and I won't get anything back because I don't have any Linux hosts that Metasploit is aware of in there. I can also limit what I am doing with hosts. I can specify I only want the columns address and OS flavor, and then I could say Windows. And in this case, I just get the address and the OS flavor. So you can specify the columns, which are these right here, and limit the amount of data that you get back. That's how we would look for hosts. I can also take a look at the vulnerabilities that are listed. So if I just type vulns, I'm going to get the entire list of vulnerabilities that have been imported here. Now, I can also do some additional searching within the vulnerabilities. So I could, for example, say vulns and then minus P, and I'm going to say 80. There's nothing that is associated with port 80 that has been triggered in my vulnerabilities. So I can just look for additional port numbers and see whether we have something that has been associated with a particular port number. I could also do a search for a particular string. And so let's say minus S, and I'm going to search for Windows. So I get a couple of results back. Now, something else that I can do using the database is I can look for services. Now, we don't have any services that have been identified here, partly because we haven't done any service scans. But this is something that you can query the database for, is to get a list of the services. So you'd get the host and the port, and then the protocol that was listening on that port, as well as the name. And we can certainly populate that a little bit later on as we do some scanning within Metasploit.